Good evening out there. I am your host for the first half of this 100% Final Fantasy Mystic Quest run. We did have that incentive met, so thank you for the donators on that. We also are going to close up the name Benjamin bid war here. We had a donation from Zaldi, which put Draves into the lead. So that will be Benjamin's name. We can keep Ziggy in our hearts, of course, as the also name. Thank you to everyone that donated for that. Wanted to point out a couple of incentives and bid wars that we have coming up before I toss it over to our commentators to get us going. So, for coming up tomorrow, we've got the BS Legend of Zelda 4th Quest 100% run. I didn't know what this was, and I looked it up, and it seems really interesting. And there's a bid war to name the file. That one's up for grabs right now. In addition, we have Cassette Beast, any percent, where we are going to wear some cat ears. I don't know what that is about, but I want to see it. And we need some donation love to get there. In addition, we're very close on any percent upgrade to hard mode for Tiny Toons Adventures 2. I played this one as a kid, the first one. I didn't even know there was a second one. So that's pretty interesting. And then for Link's Awakening DS randomizer, we have a bid war on the Link sprite. Then we also have an incentive to go on a day with Marin. So if you want to see a particular sprite, you want to see that date, get those donations in. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our commentators. Possum Morpheus, why don't you introduce yourself and the rest of the crew here?
Alrighty. Yeah, well, hello, everybody. My name is Possum Morpheus. I'm one of the commentators tonight for Tybalt, doing his run of Final Fantasy Poor Life Choices, Mystic Quest. And this is going to be a hundo run. It was going to be any percent, but the incentive was met. And so here we are. We get more fun action with Benjamin and seeing if he can put his survival skills to the test. I am joined, of course, by Tybalt, who's running this, and 10, who is one of the preeminent runners in the community as well for the speed run of Mystic Quest. So 10, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Hello, my name is 10. Like Possum said, I am a speedrunner of this game, specifically the any percent route. So anything related to the 100%, Possum's going to have to kind of mention here because I am completely clueless. But I will say, can't wait for even more Mystic Quest.
And last but not least, Tybalt. Take it away, friend.
Yeah, so thanks to everybody for donating to raise this up to the 100%. Get to hear some amazing music, halfway through the game with Firebird and Volcano, which is really nice. And 10, don't worry, there's not much difference for the first hour and a half between 80% and Hundo, so you don't have to worry about that.
Perfect.
With that, I know myself, anytime there's a full party wipe, so that's when I get the game over and like, do you want to give up, yes or no? Each time one of those happens, I will be donating $5 to the charity. And as well, something I'm doing myself special is Pazuzu will get to decide how much more I donate. So whatever floor Pazuzu, the jerk bird himself, lands on, I'm going to do $10 for that floor that he's on. So if he's floor at 5, it's $50 to charity. We're going to see how much of a jerk he is today.
All right,
I am ready.
You. Yeah, thank you, Tybalt. Let's go ahead and get started, pal.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start here in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, Tybalt, and good luck, Behemoth.
They're off. 10, why don't you tell us all about Behemoth?
Behemoth is, famously the most fair Final Fantasy tutorial boss that has ever existed. Can not only two-shot you, but just completely, makes you start over a run. Normally, not in a marathon setting. You have, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many. I haven't played this game in so long, it feels like. But Behemoth can critical hit Benjamin here. And if that happens, if you yourself do not get a critical hit, Behemoth will knock Benjamin out and you will have to start the fight over. So we're hoping for not that. Specifically, we'd love to see a Benjamin crit here.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways that you can go about this fight, and getting crit for 24 damage is not one of them. So that is the classic Mystic Quest experience. Imagine being a small child, picking this game up for the first time and dying to tutorial boss. Welcome to Mystic Quest in a nutshell, friends. That is perfect marathon RNG. Draves, aka Benjamin, has fallen over for the first time, so that's $5, everybody.
GG's Behemoth. You'd love to see it.
It's just not going well.
Oh my.
2 misses is also very nice. A third one, and we run the risk of actually dying here again.
Okay, we're through. All right, we're through.
Good start.
We made it through the second hardest boss of the game. Let's go.
Whew.
All right, so let's talk about some backstory to this game. Here's a real cool part about Mystic Quest. There's no backstory. Basically, the young man who is the air quote main character, the protagonist, that mountain that we were just part of, or fighting the behemoth on, that mountain rose up and basically crushed his town and everybody he knew with it. So Benjamin is unfortunately just kind of stuck and not able to do anything but go save the world now. But he doesn't know that. He's going to go meet some friends along the way. There's like 12 people in the entire world. It's really odd. And we'll make some references to the town names as we go and things like that. Ignore the fact that Tybalt was going on a rock climbing adventure there when he should have been going on a rock pushing adventure. He picks up one of the most important spells in the game, Cure. Anyone want to explain why Cure is so good going forward?
Well,
As some of you, well, go ahead, Tybalt.
I was gonna say, Cure is a little broken in this game. Mainly life too, but we don't get that for a long time unless we have it with our partner. But you can go ahead, 10.
Yeah, some people may have experienced in other RPG speedruns, kind of a healing underflow is possible here on the Dark King fight, which is the final boss of the game. So in at least any percent, you can beat him in 3 turns using Cure. I don't know about any percent, but I'm sure it uses a very similar setup.
Yep, it does. Exact same setup. We're just a little bit higher level, so we have to do a little bit different spells at the end. And I am a heathen, so I am keeping my health bars on scale. Or on figure, not scale. I don't need to count.
This is actually a really interesting difference if you watch regionalized runs of this game. Almost everybody in the Western Hemisphere runs with numbers, and almost everybody in the Eastern Hemisphere runs with figures, as Tybalt is doing. So basically the bar, the yellow bar with health that you see across the bottom, there's 40 ticks to it, basically indicating 40 health per level. You can see on Kaylee, where she's level 3, she has 2 thicker yellow bars at the bottom. That's indicating a full 40 HP bar. So for Western folks, we like our numbers, where it says like, oh, you have 120 health. And, if you fall below half health, you know that number is 60. For a lot of us, we don't compute it the same way. And so it's very interesting watching the regionalized runs of this between different hemispheres, even different folks running it, that you see different figures, different input strategies, different, lots of different stuff that's happening within just the menu and kind of the graphical overlay of the game.
Yeah, and one thing we'll see as this run goes on, that HP number for Benjamin is incredibly important and kind of one of the number one driver of the decisions that Tybalt will make in battle. In this game, also known as Baby's First RPG, you have the option of letting your partner automatically choose what is best or what they think is best for the situation at hand. And 100% of the time, if Benjamin is less than 50% health of his max health, you will be healed if there is any healing that is possible to be done. So knowing exactly what half is for your current HP is important at pretty much every step of the game.
I grew up with it beyond figures, so that's what I've learned. I can deal with the numbers, it's just easier. My brain works differently.
Yeah, your brain works well, I would say, to be able to parse all that, because I know that when I play this, I cannot do it with the scale that you have in place right now, and that's a me thing right there. Uh, but it's one of those where it's really cool to be able to just figure out on the fly. Yes, we're below 50%. No, we're not, etc. So kudos to you for doing that. We have
Yeah,
a bit of
something I
our
couldn't do
first.
either.
Yeah. We have our first dungeon we're venturing into here. This is the Bone Dungeon, aka Bone Zone. This is where our first boss of the game is going to be, and that cure spell we picked up, we'll get into a little bit more as to why that's going to be useful sooner than later. Tybalt getting an unfortunate 3-stack there, but one of the nice mechanics of this game is you can run away. The second nice mechanic is your partner is almost always a higher level than you, basically equated to the dungeon you're supposed to be in. Tybalt doesn't want to be running away from anything here. He wants to basically just get 1 or 2 stacks here, no 3 stacks. So far he's got 2 3-stacks, which is just bad. He can take those later on to do a dupe trick, which we're going to let 10 explain once we get to that. But it's a situation where this is a perfectly viable run for a marathon and would already have been long reset if it were a PB attempt.
Yeah, obviously we're looking to optimize our fights here, and 3-stack of enemies is I don't think possible in 1 turn, which is kind of the big deal here. It's faster to run away from a 3 2 times in a row and then defeat a 1 or a 2-stack than it is to try to beat a 3-stack. So that's why we'll see runners run away from a 3 every time in this dungeon.
Yeah, and on the plus side, though, we are getting plenty of XP because we have gotten a couple of 2-stacks. There is the mythical level 3 Flamerus that you can do, which we're not going to have to worry about. That's always very fun. That's fun in quotations, friends. One of those things where it's a bit of a rite of passage in the speedrun community to defeat Flamerus at level 3. Very, very rare to have it happen, though. And in that past fight, we were just introduced to what is the bane of the Mystic Quest runner's life, and that is status. We got confused. Confused is bad. There's also stone, there's paralysis, there's sleep, all of these things that just put terrible statuses on you. And it's basically the game's way of saying, no, you're not going to have fun. But here we go playing the game anyway.
What about being silenced? Like, I always see the silence spell being cast by the mages. Like, does it even work?
No. Every piece of armor, basically, that all your companions get, plus the base armor for your main character, all protect against silence. So, yes, silence is a spell. No, it can never actually land.
So here we see Tybalt doing the duplication glitch that Possum had mentioned earlier. He had an unfavorable formation with the 3 enemies there, so obviously he's going to run away. So what we can do is queue up a seed usage with Benjamin, and seeds in this game replenish your magic spell cast. So the game thinks you've used a seed, but then Tybalt backs out all the way and then runs away. So the seed was never taken out of our inventory, but the game still thought we used one, but gave it back to us because we ran away. It's kind of confusing, but the game's kind of broken in a good way for us in that it just gave us a seed that we never used. So you can duplicate any item that way, any consumable item that way. But, for speedrun purposes, the seed is the only thing that really actually helps us out. And I don't know about 100%. For any percent, we look 3 or 4 seed dupes throughout the first couple dungeons here. So 1 in Bone Dungeon is pretty average, and we'll see how we get treated in Wintry Cave.
Yeah, it's about the same in 100%. We just dupe a few more so we can get through the Magic Ring battle tile.
Also, remember to pick up Quake on your way out.
Yep.
I don't know if you grab it before or after Flamerus, but I don't want you to forget it.
Oh, yeah. It actually doesn't matter if you pick it up before or after.
Right.
And earlier, Pasta mentioned that Cure Spell being broken in its own way, and here we see Tybalt using the Cure Spell on Flamers to do 250 damage, which is actually more than the bombs would be doing, which is, I think, 194 against Flamers here. And the way that works is fun, and Possum understands it infinitely more than I do, so I'll let him actually explain why and how.
Basically, the way that flags are set in this game is to, how things work are generally upside down and inside out. A lot of it was fixed in later releases of the game, but early on, it's kind of like spaghetti code that got thrown on the floor, picked back up, and put back together. So there's some really deep technical stuff to get into with it, but not going to get into the minutia of it. Just to say that, like so many other early 90s RPGs, the code is really, really wonky. But again, as Ten was kind of saying, it's wonky in our favor. So it's very beneficial in that sense. And to answer questions from chat, like why are we picking things up that, like Quake is a terrible spell until you're like level 40. It's because this is a hundo run, so we got to get them all. Kind of like Pokemon in that regard. And
actually, at the very beginning, Quake is actually useful for a few different encounters. Primarily the battle tile I'm about to be doing once I leave here. I have to fight 10 fights in a row, and if I get a fight that requires a basilisk and 3 frogs, or toads I should say, the fastest way to get through it is actually with Quake.
Yeah, and one of the fun things about the battlefields is you have to fight all 10 of them. For those who may be more familiar with the randomized version of the game, you can tune it down to even 1. Now, sometimes those stacks of 1 could have, Dark King and Medusa and Pazuzu. Or, those stacks of 1 could have, like, a single brownie from the level forest. It all depends how you'd want to customize, but for the vanilla run, you're stuck with 10 fights on each tile, and I believe, Tybalt, you're going to go through and get, what is it, Thunder, Exit, Magic Ring, and Charm Bangle? Is that it?
That is correct.
Or Charm Necklace?
Yeah, Charm Necklace, which doesn't do anything except give +1 armor.
Right. So only 40 only 40 fights that we have to go through for the category.
Here's our first one.
So these little battlefield segments, these are great times for donations, to read anything about the charity itself, whatever needs to be done for PSAs, etc. If folks need to take breaks, this is the time to do it. Battlefields are dreadfully boring, so it's a great time to get everything in, if there is anything to get in.
Well, that sounds like my cue. No donations to read at the moment, but I wanted to talk about a couple reasons why, and that's prizes. So anyone that donates today, Thursday, October 17th, is eligible to win the super cute Pikachu cross stitch donated by Possum Coffee. Looking at a picture of it, it is very cute and would look great hanging on any wall. And additionally, we saw this in a run earlier. There is also an after image Steam code from Margaret Ann up for grabs as a prize. And then additionally, there's a grand prize available. We've got a set of 4 cute, nerdy cross-stitch kits, so you can make your own fine, cute art and hang it on the wall. And additionally, a set of 4 surprise Steam codes available as grand prizes. So that is the prizes that we are eligible for donating today. And then additionally, I'm just going to put this question out there. Then I want to hear about it via donations so I can, have the conversation, but like, what is the favorite companion in Mystic Quest? I haven't played myself personally, so I feel like I could be swayed into who should my favorite be. But I would love to hear from, both our commentators, our runner, and the audience as well. Who is the fave and why?
I'd say they don't call her Phoebe for nothing. Either regular vanilla or randomizer, Phoebe is the goat. She's got the most magic in this game. Magic is power. You can argue other people, but you just be wrong.
I mean, Kaylee has her niceties about her, but I'm a Phoebe person as well.
My favorite companion's a blank space because you can't rely on any of these fools. I'm gonna be honest. Even Phoebe's nice, but like, give me that blank space and a flare spell, and I'm good, friends.
And there's a little divergence there for any percent as well. We pick up the fire spell, even though we don't use it, but we still have to pick it up. The rules for 100% are picking up all items from their vanilla locations. Even though we do end up duplicating some items to glitch into areas later on, we still go back and grab them. So that's where it changes. So now we have our second battle tile.
Yeah, we picked up Phoebe. Now we're gonna go ahead and fight 10 more fights. The nice part about these is Phoebe has fire, and basically everything here is weak to fire except the frogs, I believe, are not weak to fire, but she's strong. She's Phoebe. We're good.
Ruben gets beaten up by one zombie. So he stays at the bottom of the bridge the entire game. Until near the end. And Tristram, well, there's jokes about Tristram always missing with his ninja stars.
Jokes? I think you mean facts.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I was gonna say those jokes are not missing their mark, much like Tristram always is. In chat, we do have pointing out. I like this answer from Concussed Gamer. Kaylee is the best because she gets super strong just laying in bed. She's my hero. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one strange thing about this game for those who aren't familiar. Your partners arrive to you in stages. So Phoebe here, we call Phoebe 1, is level 15. She does not gain experience. None of your partners gain experience. However, after you lose her and then pick her back up, she is then, I think, level 34?
Yep.
Could be very incorrect there, but she just shows back up. She's super powerful, and it's the same for the other three companions. The second time you get them, they're just all of a sudden stronger, but you can't do anything to make them stronger yourself. So Concuss say that Kaylee just gets strong in bed because, we left her there, and all of a sudden she'll be super strong when we grab her. So that is fun.
And so we've been to 2 towns now, and this is a mandatory piece of lore. We'll go with lore. The town names. It's always a treat. We were just in Aquaria. That's the town of water. Before, to start the game, we were in the town of Foresta. A bunch of trees and forests and stuff. Later on, there's going to be a fire town, and then there's going to be a wind town. I'm going to let y'all get real creative and try to come up with some clever names, but you don't got to be too clever to figure these out. But get your answers in chat as to what you think the fire town and the wind town might be called.
Look, this game was developed in 6 months. And they had to try and save space, too. So a lot of the translations had to get changed from what they originally were going to be. Which in a way
I
kinda
know
hurt the game.
for one, I would have really liked Super Omega Volcano Town, personally.
This is the other fight we will use Quake for if I had any chaos for it. Unfortunately, I don't because I had to use all 3 at the battle tile, so I'm just going to use some bombs here instead.
Yeah, because conveniently the worms are weak to Earth magic, which Quake is Earth magic. So the worms are weak to it. Turtles are weak to it, I believe. Very weird weaknesses in this game and resistances, but it works mostly.
Right there, you just saw Tybalt fall down a cliff that was roughly 12 times Benjamin's height. And that's all just for Phoebe to be able to give you the claw, which in this game allows you to scale these textured walls here. And I know one of Possum's favorite factoids about this game is that she had the claw this entire time since we picked her up, yet she still lets you fall down that cliff.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is kind of like a dating simulator, and you're just going on these dates with your companions, and they're kind of testing you as you go through all these. Kind of weird because they're doing like survival tests, so it's kind of like Squid Games dating, but in a JRPG. But Phoebe really likes to wait to give you things that would be helpful until after you have incurred some amount of pain. It's very weird in a sense, but that's Phoebe's shtick, and everyone has their own thing. Except Tristram, I don't know what his is. He just kind of is there.
So touching back on those weapons, for those who, again, who aren't familiar with Mystic Quest a ton, Benjamin has access to 4 types of weapons, and they each have their own in battle and overworld unique abilities, if you will. You see him using the bomb here often. The bomb never misses and hits every enemy on screen, which is the only actual weapon that can do that for Benjamin. The axe has a higher critical rate, I believe, but also misses a ton. The Dragon Claw, or the Claw class, will allow you to do more magic damage because it increases your magic stat. And the last Claw tries to inflict every status effect. There's a bunch of little things like that, which we'll bring up when it's kind of important. But mostly the overworld stuff is where it's more fun. We saw that cat claw, like I mentioned, you can climb those textured walls. You'll see swords being used to open doors via like statue buttons. We see bombs being used to open blocked passageways, and we'll see axes used to cut down mushrooms or little trees. And that's one of the little things I love about this game is that they put that. It's not, I guess, I don't even know if it's more effort for the developers, but just little things like that makes it a little more fun.
Yeah, the overworld interaction or dungeon interaction that we have in this is really fun.
Yeah, it's almost like a tiny bit of a puzzler thrown into an RPG, which is pretty neat. And this game was designed as an introduction to RPGs for the Western world, and that's why if you think of like reading at a 4th grade level or something like that, this is the reading at a 4th grade level of RPGs, and we love it for that. We also hate it for that, but it is what it is.
Beautiful Speedy Benjamin here. Don't often outspeed those birds. We've seen Tybalt utilize that auto strategy. If you notice the word above Phoebe's bow and arrow there, it says manual. Now, there's a button, let me look at my controller here. The Y button allows you to automatically or quickly switch between manual and auto for your partner. And we've seen Tybalt switch between that throughout this dungeon, knowing which formations Phoebe will do certain actions with. So here, if you use auto, I think Phoebe will use Thunder on a single centaur. So Tybalt knows that he's got to manually thunder all there, and you have to think about that for almost every single fight in this game. Not only the health thing I mentioned at the beginning, but just knowing the way that the partner interacts with what's on screen is probably the most difficult thing to learn when learning the speedrun, but it is really cool to see. Okay. And that's a
Birds
misquest
are
for you.
jerks. Birds are jerks.
I can honestly say, in my thousands of attempts, I don't think I've ever seen Benjamin die turn 1 before the birds. That was incredible.
You made something else here that most people who maybe played it once or so. Ted, can you go what's going on here with Phoebe? How she's actually absorbing the drain effect here?
I actually do know. Did you use the resistance glitch for 100% out of curiosity?
Yep, that's a base glitch. It's on every single run because if you
Okay.
have all 3 save files, it's endgame for you.
So the way the code works, it's very strange, and I'll try to explain it the best I know how. Phoebe in this vanilla game with the glitch has absorption resistance and also what they coded as reverse absorption resistance. If a character or an enemy has both of those resistances, then an attempted absorb will then be a heal instead. And I'm pretty sure it only applies to your party with the resistance glitch, and it does apply to some enemies naturally, but I don't know off the top of my head which ones. But it's just a weird thing because of the resistance glitch.
Yeah, and that resistance glitch is accomplished by having a save file with endgame Phoebe on it. Basically level 34 Phoebe, who has bonus defenses, things like resistance to paralysis, that your current level 15 Phoebe would not have in the vanilla game. But because you are doing basically save file abuse, you're able to go through and mimic the level 34 resistances. So that includes paralysis. I think she resists water for sure naturally, maybe wind as well. But she resists wind and water and paralysis and drain attacks and all of that by the end game. So having access to all those resistances even earlier is huge, for our runner here, Tybalt.
Yeah, where it comes to be a problem is your partners that come in. If we're looking at like the Fireberg area, your partner has Phoebe's armor, which doesn't have like fire resistance. So I gotta be quick and careful there because you're gonna be a little weaker there.
My last resistant fun fact for the day, because Phoebe does have wind and water resistance, the way the game is coded, to have thunder resistance, you must have wind and water resistance. So she does by default also have thunder resistance.
There you go.
The more you know.
TLDR, despite my mocking of companions, Phoebe is the best.
He was real good. Yeah, to sum up the resistance glitch all the way, you load the Phoebe into the RAM, then you soft reset, but she stays there. It's great.
Now here's something funny. There's actually one item in this game that you can actually lose access to forever if you don't pick it up. And we have to grab it.
Is it the heal spell?
Mm-hmm. If you don't pick up the heal spell and you beat Ice Golem, you lose access forever because you can never come back here.
I've never seen that happen. I've seen people forget to grab the coin from behind the Ice Golem. That's always fun.
Nope, you've never seen that.
But never seen the heal spell be forgotten.
Nope. There's actually a save file on this. I'm using the ROM I have since I was a kid, and my grandfather never picked it up. And that save file does not have the heal spell. So,
Out of curiosity, because I legitimately didn't know this, what prevents you from coming back here?
when you beat Ice Golem, you unfreeze everything, and you can never come back to Falls Basin because that water right back there is the waterfall. This is all ice because of Ice Golem.
Okay, cool. Like you said, learn something new every day.
It's always fun having any percent runners who are incredibly technically knowledgeable but know nothing about the actual game. Because it's so cool that every glitch is known, but like none of the actual gameplay is known. I adore it every time. And there's a nice little Phoebe auto there, where she decided that the optimum play here was to go ahead and single target a fire on a water hag, which is not the optimal play, but AI is funny, especially when it's AI from 1993, and it definitely is not, AI from 2024.
Freezer Crab here is weak to axe, so that's why we see Tybalt using that here. The magic number is 2 axes, 5 thunders just on the crab here. So there's a little bit of math you can do if something happens this way or that way. But it is relatively a safe fight. You just need Benjamin to get 2 axes off, and then it's unlikely you lose unless that happens. So it is Mystic Quest after all.
And Phoebe missing there is always fun. Phoebe is more likely to crit than she is to miss, so bravo, Phoebe. This is why, despite being the best, still unreliable. But one of the things also that, 10 had kind of mentioned before about having the main character Draves, aka Benjamin, yada yada, outspeeding some enemies earlier that's a byproduct of having access to those 20 extra fights from the 2 battle tiles that we did. That a lot of the things in the Hundo run are much safer because you are closer to the level of what your enemies are in the different zones. So Phoebe being level 15 here is where you want your companion to be by the end of this zone. In the any percent run, you're coming in here at level 8 at best and getting to Ice Golem either level 10 or 11. I think in this Tybalt you're going to be 11 or 12, correct?
Yep. 11 or 12 for this one.
And it just depends on the XP routing through here. It's a perfectly fine fight to take, especially with the little bit bonus extra defense you have and extra abilities. So Ice Golem still can be mean, but it is certainly not the meanest boss by any stretch.
We saw Tybalt there fight 2 enemies out of nowhere. You might have thought perhaps random encounters all of a sudden. No, they are invisible. The classic RPG trope of invisible enemies. I'm sure that's happened forever and always. The first item you get, though, in the pyramid is the item that lets you see them, so kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, the mirror, though, is very nice if you are casually playing the game. So you're not just stumbling around and, bumbling your way through this. For a speedrun, you legitimately don't need it because you already know the placement of every enemy. But in this particular case, it's the 100% run, and so you have to go ahead and collect every item. We also see with the sprites, since it's been pointed out in chat, when the enemies progress basically further and further on in their HP pools, they do change forms. And so we saw with the Lamias there turning into snakes. The sprite work in this game is incredible. But I have to ask, what's everybody's favorite sprite transition, whether it be a regular enemy, a boss? What's the top of y'all's list?
I'd have to say like the water hag, where you just like, depending on this animation that you use for it, whether it's the bombs or the arrow which we get later on, it looks like he's hugging the spell. And that's another class of ones that I see from Stellfire, Pazuzu.
Yeah, Pazuzu laying down the whole "paint me like one of your French girls" Pazuzu is an absolute classic. For me, it's Dark King. I just love the Dark King iterations, especially the second form where it's the 8 arms and holding the bow and arrow in one arm. Because, folks, that don't work in real life.
I'm a big fan of the squids, just the limp squid. I don't know why. But there's really no wrong answers. The progressive sprites in this game are just fantastic. If everybody knows, it's the one of the 2 things everybody mentions when they talk about this game. It's that and the music.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the deep lore in the character development.
And the gameplay?
And the RNG. It's always in your favor.
Yeah, speaking of RNG, it's terrible in this game. First of all, Phoebe gets petrified there, which doesn't matter. But something as simple as Phoebe missing that first arrow attack on a bird can legitimately completely make you reset your game. Every fight in this game is not a guarantee, with a couple of exceptions, but only a couple. Literally everything and anything can ruin like an actual speedrun that's not on a marathon where they have to keep going, because man, there's sometimes you just don't want to. Not to mention the hour and 20 minutes Pazuzu floor check you have to do.
Oh. Yeah, bird that moves around. But isn't it nice seeing where all the actual other encounters are in here, 10?
I don't think I've ever seen vanilla encounters in this game, in this dungeon, so it is a little strange.
Yeah, you know where all of them are. As I was saying earlier, you don't need the mirror. You know where they are. You know what to do against all of them. But yeah, you actually do get to see the sprites on the map. So you know exactly what to do with that water hag in this upcoming bird fight. Just don't get petrified, forehead. Other than that, it doesn't change much. But
well, I mean, Phoebe getting petrified before Ben's next turn is fine, because we're still going to defend with Phoebe. So it doesn't really... It actually saves some time for us in Hundo. If you don't
only since Petrify also overrides that blind status, I believe, so it actually would be super helpful on turn 1 on most of these fights.
As long as she hits the arrow first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touching on chat here, talking about RNG and not RNG. Not only damage rolls are not related to RNG, but the fact that every enemy is the same every time, in terms of this single hag formation could be 3 hags or 2 hags, is just fantastic. Like you can study all the formations in the game and you'll always be ready for just the one tile. It's completely different than most RPGs you've played or that have been developed throughout the years. Just random encounters and whatever. Especially after playing Final Fantasy 1 randomizer over the last few months. It's just like the deterministic. Like I know what's coming up. It makes the speedrun. It's not easier because everything else is terrible, but it almost feels like more skill in a way, but not skill because this game is terrible. I don't know. It's hard to explain the way I'm trying to explain it right now.
So it provides you the ability to express skill by adapting to the battles you have memorized and the scripts that you have memorized. So it's the ability to go ahead and accomplish a task knowing that you have the tools for every scenario, and whoever can accomplish that task with basically the quickest inputs and the less mistakes, the less misinputs, that is going to be the victor, if you will. there is absolutely skill expression in that. Can you still get unlucky through it? Absolutely. But there is a lot of it that is in your control. So, in this situation, you know,
Look at all
Draves and
those
Phoebe
enemies. What the heck?
Draves and Phoebe there both are outspeeding things, and both are able to have their menus put in correctly so that we have like bombs and we have arrows and stuff like that. But if a miss menu were done, and let's say you accidentally fired instead of bombed or whatever it would be, that's on you basically.
Or accidentally use your last seed before you get through the rest of the encounters.
Yeah, don't do that.
Wait until you see the next big room there, 10. Yeah, the Ice Palace is not nice for some of the rooms. Like, they want you to take encounters. They are mean.
The vanilla experience for this game is how many fights are you willing to take for 3 cure potions, and why is the answer always yes? Because at the end of every hallway with 3 battles, it's 3 cure potions.
Touching on Tybalt's remark about using the last seed before the encounters, something I probably should have mentioned earlier is that in these speedruns, you actually have to manipulate your menu or your inventory in a certain way to set up a glitch later on, which we'll actually see pretty soon here, I assume in this category as well. But the 4 consumables have to be laid out in a certain way, or else the underflow that we know can happen won't work the right way. So if we do use that seed early, then an item that we pick up on the way out would be placed then oh my goodness, in the first slot. And my apologies, there was a lot of enemies. That was surprising. And that would completely ruin the run, and I assume we'd have a backup save file for that sort of circumstance.
So you still have to keep your items in a certain order here in Hundo %. You need it to be seeds, cure pots, heal potions, refreshers. Now you still can fix it because there are refreshers and heal pots in Fireburg. So
that is true. You can fix it. Oh wait, no, you have to. If you catch it early, you can fix it really quickly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
If you try to do the underflow first, then fixing it requires you using 255 items or 256 items, which is a lot of fun to watch, I will say.
Oh yeah, it is a lot of fun.
We'll be seeing that anyway. There is some difference between any percent and Hundo in that regard. There's what we love to call hungry hippos, which will be coming up, and we'll get into a little bit more about that in a little bit. It's another one of those great times for incentives and donations and talky talk, because it's basically Tybalt mashing for about 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm. So now I just have to go here and I have to fight the good old ice golem here. Don't fall, don't fall. Okay, we got through. Falling there is a good, 35-second time loss? If I remember correctly?
Yeah, and it stinks because you've already been down there once.
Mm-hmm.
To get the noble armor. You really don't want to have to come back. This fight is kind of interesting, though, because if you leave Phoebe on auto, she will cast Thunder, which is very odd. But she's like, oh, this is my strongest spell. I'll go ahead and use it. It's like, no, but that's not it.
There's also something else to note about this. When you cast magic, you are not able to crit the enemy. However, the enemy can crit you with their spells.
Yeah, it's real fun and interactive. Like the tornadoes that we saw from the birds when Tybalt was fighting Squidite. One of them crit with a whirlwind or a tornado, whichever it was, for like 398 damage. Tybalt did not have 398 damage to spare. Also, that was dangerous with the ice golem outspeed there. But Phoebe was able to survive and get a cure off. But we see the melting phases here of the ice golem. It is spamming Snowstorm, which is pretty annoying, but also relatively safe since we just healed up. Phoebe on auto there decided that she was going to be a peach and go ahead and attack instead of use any spell at all. So sometimes Phoebe does what Phoebe does, and auto is again a very weird command.
There we go. Crystal number 2 is saved. Magic number being 6,500 on the ice golem. Phoebe does 600 with fire. Benjamin does 400 with bombs. A lot of times runners will just count out loud for funsies. But it's just a nice simple fight as long as, no crits happen. So now we get the nice minute-long walk out, and I assume the same exit battlefield as in any percent. So if there are any donations or anything that Fitz would like to talk about now, would be a just wonderful time.
Indeed.
That sounds like my cue. Yeah, I definitely would love to remind everyone why we're here, raising money for Take This. Take This is a mental health nonprofit, and their main mission is to inform the gaming community about mental health issues, provide education on different disorders and prevention techniques, and reduce the overall stigma around mental illness. I know a thing I found really useful personally as I started to, stream on Twitch was they had a helpful set your settings this way to reduce bots and using the auto mod when you're a smaller streamer. So there's just a lot of good resources out there for gamers of all types, and from preventing the stress of kind of being online sometimes too. Those resources supporting someone that is experiencing mental illness, which is a lot of us. And I did also want to talk about some of the upcoming runs for tomorrow. This is kind of our nightcap for today's festivities, but tomorrow we're going to get some more Ultima action. Ultima 3 Exodus, featuring Organ Mike back again. The BS Legend of Zelda, there's an incentive to get the file name bid war there, and that one I hadn't heard of, and I did a little bit of research, aka searching, and it, from my quick searching, it seems like it's an upmake of the original Legends of Zelda that came out for Super Famicom, with some changes from the original. So I'm just really interested to see that, because I don't think I've ever seen it before. And then we got a lot of excellent looking runs. Since we're watching Mystic Quest, if you need some more, we're going to be having Mystic Quest again in the evening block, randomizer version. So we'll get both flavors, vanilla and rando. But this is, are we in the is this the hungry hippos phase?
Nope.
Right now?
No, this is the feeding squids bomb phase.
Okay. Let me see if we have any. Do a quick refresh. And then, other incentives, we need to get cast to wear cat ears in Cassette Beast. That seems really important. $80 more to go on that one. We are a mere $7 away from getting the upgrade to hard mode for Tiny Toons Adventures 2, Montana's Movie Madness. It's a mouthful. And then additionally, the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DS randomizer run has a bid war for the sprites. It looks like so far we've got the Aegis girl, Marin and Rosa, with Rosa in the lead right now. And there is also an incentive to do the Marin's dates. So definitely still time to get in on those and get a name out there, influence a bid war, or meet an incentive.
Thank you, Fitz. We just saw Tybalt clear the exit battle tile, and that rewarded him, obviously, with the exit spell, which is arguably the best spell. Well, I don't know about the best spell in regular speedruns. In the randomizer, one of the best spells in the game, allows you to exit any dungeon from the location you entered. So we'll see that used pretty much everywhere from here on out. And that battle tile just is the most infamous one because at 90% it's the only one we actually fight. And it's either a single squid, which is a relatively easy fight, or it's a squid and a sphinx. And it's a 50-50. Either you get it or you don't. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tybalt, I only saw one sphinx that whole time.
3.
Okay, well, I wasn't paying attention at all then. 3 is probably about average for a run. So, you know, that's a good number to have here.
So we get it before going down to Spencer's because it's faster to exit out. We still have to go back over this way to grab... we had to get the Venus key anyways because it's a key item for Hundo. But it's also used to open up this chest back here. Good old Venus shield, which is really nice. I know it's used in some routes for the any percent. I don't do that route for any percent, so...
Yeah, there was a new route developed for any percent within the last 3 years or so, which changed the underflow up and the order of operations here to get that Venus key. The time wasted to get it equates to a paralysis resistance for Benjamin, and in the rest of the game here, it comes in handy in a few big fights, and it's either you do it or you don't, and it works for some people like the world record holder, and for me, it never works, so it's perfect. But here we get it, and now we have paralysis resistance.
So yeah, I'm also going to be doing a little bit of other cleanup, picking up some other items before we do the Hungry Hippo. No, I do this later. Yeah, I'll come back here. Never mind, that's later than I think of that.
Yeah, and there's a very specific order that Tybalt has to do things in, otherwise it will kind of mess with the inventory. He is going to go into Fireberg though, and this is always one of the most fun things, is what order do we do things in, who do we talk to, what do we get, what do we do. At some point we're actually going to get to fight things with Ruben. This is cool because in the vanilla game this just wouldn't be happening. Excuse me, in the any percent run.
I was gonna say, what is happening right now? I'm lost personally. Another fun battle tile percent. This one gives us the magic ring.
Nope, this gives us the Gemini crust.
Yeah, I knew that.
But you get to also see why the exit spell is one of the best spells in the game. Or not.
Oh, that means we
my
get to talk about how white magic works.
Oh, that timing could not have been better. Thank you, Tybalt. Oh my goodness.
That's almost as good as the last time I did commentary for you, and myself and Hebbings both cursed you with a confused Phoebe casting white magic on the party. Anyway, I digress. You did that one to yourself. Exit is white magic, and white magic, when used offensively, takes the accuracy property of the character and their current weapon, basically. So if you have, let's say, 85% accuracy, you're still going to miss roughly 1 in 6 exit casts. And Tybalt hit the nail on the head there and missed that exit cast right away.
Yeah, it's very strange how they program the spells. There's, like you mentioned, the white magic. There's black magic and wizard magic. Yep. And black and wizard cannot miss no matter what, but white is the only thing affected by things like Possum said, your accuracy and the blind status. So even if you're blinded, black and white and wizard magic cannot miss. The bombs still can't miss. But if you're trying to cast a white spell while blinded, you are in trouble.
On the enemy, a white spell on the enemy.
Correct, sorry.
Cure and life and whatnot will never miss on your party, but they will miss on the enemy. It's all a very weird damage calculation. Yeah, there's a whole lot of numbers and very long chains to formulate exactly what's going to happen in the code itself. And it's just honestly not worth it. Just do what's best and don't get unlucky for it.
Yeah, there are a lot of times later on in this run where we'll see Tybalt likely having to make decisions of, I'm blinded, so I'm not going to use this spell. I'm going to have to use a spell that has 100% accuracy. And it's cool. Another one of those things where you know the formations, you know what you can do, and you know what kind of adjustments you need to make in, you have to figure out what's happening and figure out how to make the adjustments. And that's the whole speed run.
And we see Tybalt has picked up a battle axe and a brain bucket, aka the steel helmet. That is basically a useless piece of defensive gear, but the battle axe is nice.
Oh, wait, that's right. I gotta go downstairs first. Rando coming in to burn me here. I gotta go find out the door is locked first before I can get the key.
Yeah. You have the claw. You know you're supposed to have the key.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where you get the multi-key.
What an awesome interaction there.
Mm-hmm. You open the door here, and we go, oh, hey! Walked away in here.
So yeah, Mega's super early. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got our third progressive bombs here, Mega Grenades, which have the unique overworld ability to be thrown. That does lock a few chests, key items in this game. We'll see that later. And also, do we do Jin Skip in 100%?
Yes, we do. Okay.
Oh boy. So that allows us to do Jin Skip, which we will explain when that comes up here, I assume pretty shortly.
All right, here we go. Here's Hungry Hippos.
So Tybalt basically turned his one cure potion into a sky coin. He then purchased 0 seeds, which put 0 seeds in his inventory. He then used 1 seed from his 0 seeds that he had to give him 99 seeds, but it's not actually 99, it's 255. And now he has to go through and he has to use them over and over and over again until he clears this stack. And what that's going to do is basically put the sun coin in his inventory. Then he's going to have to do one other step here to make the sun coin usable, because otherwise it's going to be a battle ready item instead of an externally ready item to use on like doors and such. There are ways to accidentally throw away your sun coins and glitch out your whole game doing this, so he does still have another step to do here after he is done going through this whole entire stack of seeds.
And Possum, Tybalt will have 765 charges of flare after this, right?
No.
Oh, okay. But he does.
But now he has
have
a sun coin.
That's cool.
Yeah, I did things in the wrong order. I should have actually done the seed first and then did the battle tile, because the battle tile will allow you to do the item duplication like we did earlier, because that's how we get it to move locations. So, and now I look and it's been moved down.
Yeah. So he had it in that second slot in his inventory where it would have caused a problem. He would have been using a sun coin like a cure pot, which don't. So now that the sun coin is in its rightful place in his inventory, it's kind of reset itself. And now he can go through the sun coin door. All of that stuff that is over in Fireberg, he will have to come back for. And he will come back for, but he's going to do it with a much stronger person and a much stronger party later on. Also, a nice little bit of speed tech here. He is going to go down that hallway at some point, but doesn't need to do it quite yet. And that is going to be in order to get the arrow spell. But he'll basically be setting his exit point outside here. go in, pick up the arrow spell, and save himself about 7 seconds of walking. This is also the worst fight in the game, potentially. 10, why is this the worst fight in the game?
Yeah, as I mentioned, when you defeated Behemoth, that was the second hardest boss in the game. This one is the first hardest. You can die in one hit. You can get put to sleep. You can get petrified, if I recall correctly. Exit can miss. There are so many things. I have seen somebody fail that fight 12 times. Unfortunately, we do not get that luxury today with Tybalt's $5 per death on the line.
Yeah, are we still at 1, by the way?
Yeah,
We
we're
are
still at 1.
Behemoth doing one for
yeah.
charity. Thank you, Behemoth.
We will guaranteed see more. I got to say that. We got it. We have to see more. There's no way you make it through this with 1 death.
No,
That would be incredible, though.
Gidra's probably gonna Dullahan.
Make it spicy. Have Dark King cure itself twice and make it so you can't do the manip.
Oh no. No. Why do you curse me with this, Possum?
Because that's the funniest possible way to have a PB get lost. Hey, that's your second Exodus. Well done.
No, it's my 4th. There we go. Bye-bye. Tristram is just a human shield at this point because, yeah. He only hits effectively on the ghosts here.
Yeah, one of the other nice parts about Exit for this particular run, in a vanilla playthrough you wouldn't want to do this, but in this sort of playthrough you do. When you use the Exit spell to remove an enemy from battle, you don't get the XP from it. That helps us keep our XP and our levels within certain thresholds to be able to take out Dark King using some glitches, if you will. If we get to, I want to say it's level 26, it changes the entire formula that we have to use. But I think anything from level 22 to 25, it might even be 21 to 25, you can still manipulate the thresholds barely. But I think once you get to level 26, it becomes an absolute mess. So using the Exit spell helps out with that quite a bit.
Yeah, 21 through 23, it's one strategy. 24, it's different. 25 is the same as 24, and then 26, it is completely different. Again, so... But on average, you're going to be hitting 24, 25 in Hundo.
Yeah. If you've hit 26, you haven't been using Exit enough, and somewhere along the way something went wrong. But we now have the Tier 3 Axe to go with our Tier 3 bombs. Of note, because of the way that this ends up getting routed, we don't have our Tier 2 Claw. And we won't be getting it for quite a while.
We won't be getting the life spell for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really reliant on our partner's life to really help us out. If our partner goes down any time, it's almost fight's over. Do you give up? No, we go right back in.
And make sure, this is, a recommendation for everybody who would play this game, if you don't save frequently, make sure that when they say give up, hit no, don't hit yes. I've never seen anybody in this this current commentary booth hit yes in a run before.
Nope.
I don't think I have.
Honestly, I'm sure I have, but I don't remember it.
I know another runner who used to do this. PK47 did that in a marathon run.
Yeah, he sure did. I think that might be what you're referring to, Possum, because I was I was the other person in that race.
Yes, you had an incident with a glitch setup that went awry, and he had an issue with the menu button. And between the two of you, it was a phenomenal phenomenal marathon run.
I gotta go back down. I gotta talk to Spencer once again. Make the long trek down.
Just imagine it without Exit.
Yeah. Though one of my favorite parts in this that I'm a little jealous about is coming up here. And it has to do with Phoebe.
Oh, yeah, Phoebe's penchant for mayhem and chaos.
Yep.
Why does Benjamin not just run?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well,
We get to see some speed here on display in just a moment.
but Benjamin only has one speed, and it's slow. And he demonstrates that throughout the entirety of the run. Hey, Dragonclaw. Yay.
Shrug. Hi, Phoebe.
Look at her go.
How? And we're just casually walking out as the cave is collapsing.
So, small spoiler there. Remember when Phoebe had the claw and didn't give it to you, and then had jumbo bombs and didn't give it to you when they would have been helpful? Well, now she stole your mega grenades and used them to blow up the cave that you were still in with her. Again, Phoebe is definitely testing us. But now we have a serious spike in companion level and companion damage. Kaylee is a character who we are going to spend a lot of time with. Kaylee is quite strong and really, really well set up for the part of the game that she is intended to beat in vanilla. Her axe is strong against a lot of the enemies there. Her magic is strong against a lot of the enemies there. Kaylee is just very well tuned for her particular portion of the game and will increase our damage output and our speed quite a bit.
Yeah, the main issues we have with Kaylee throughout the rest of this the time that we've got her are her axe misses quite a bit, and her auto setup is very strange and sometimes doesn't do what you think it should do. So other than that, though, Kaylee is the powerhouse you need her to be throughout the region.
And this is always a fun little encounter here. The ninja you see on the left-hand side is basically the last enemy that you will face in the game, as it demonstrates that by putting Draves into a napping status there, we'll say. But this particular fight, wow, the confusion from the level 3 enemy, that's wild. So this fight, you'll almost always get a strike first in, because the middle enemy is level 3. It is a Minotaur from the Foresta area. So getting that level 3 enemy allows us to get through this ninja, which is a very late game enemy, and be able to do it without too much harm. You know, again, as long as it doesn't go and confuse. So that was just a phenomenal experience there that Tybalt had to go through while getting this arrow spell. That's a very unusual circumstance he encountered there.
Yeah, I also got the Jin fight as well. It's like it's either 50-50 between Jin or Chimera being there.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've got Kaylee, we can actually defeat all these enemies in one turn, which with Tristram, as you saw, we could not do because Tristram is basically useless at this point.
What was that about defeating them in one turn?
Well, you know, everything's theoretical here.
Yeah.
That death is not
Everything-
theoretical. One more to the tally, friends.
There we go. So as I said, we can usually beat things in 2 or 3 turns here.
There we go.
That was close to being another one. Good
Yeah,
job,
I know.
zombies. Or mummies, or whichever one they are.
Yeah, the fun thing about turn order in this game is if Benjamin's turn had come up after he had woken up from sleep, then he still would have gotten his turn off. And it's the same thing in any fight for this. Like, if Benjamin wakes up and then his turn comes up afterwards, he still gets to go. So unfortunately, he had taken his turn while asleep.
But it's okay. Because he woke up. And then still didn't get his arrow off. And, well, you know, it happens.
Well, and then he donated $5, so.
Yeah.
That's true. A champion for the cause.
These are the type of encounters we want to see, especially in the upcoming tree here. We want to see 2 for a lot of the middle ones.
Yeah, there is a lot of fun stuff that comes with the tree here. Those 3 enemies on bridge can be 3 or 2 enemies. 2 enemies can be killed in 1 turn with Kaylee, 100% guaranteed. 3s, as you saw just a minute ago, cannot be. So a lot of the speed run in this section hangs on getting 2s versus 3s throughout the 30 minutes of gameplay here. That fight is always a guaranteed 3, and then these next 3 fights are actually guaranteed strike firsts. And then from there, it's a lot of crossing your fingers for the right formation.
Can you work with me here? I've never seen her crit on that. But okay.
So the trees are weak to axes, which makes a whole lot more sense than things like turtles or crabs being weak to axes. So, Tybalt is able to go through and take out those enemies relatively easy. He could go for arrow strats and things like that, but there's no point. Just take the guarantees where you can get them. And even Benjamin, aka Draves, is able to one-shot a tree here. Kaylee critting for 3k is always cool to see. Numbers go burr, and we like that.
Here we see the Dragon Claw's unique overworld ability, being able to grapple to grappleable objects such as these tree saplings inside the tree.
Branches?
Perhaps inside of the trunk of whatever they are, you can grapple to them. And also, as I mentioned very early on in the run, the Dragon Claw, when used as a weapon in battle, does try to inflict every status effect onto an enemy, which will actually, I assume, see that a couple times throughout the tree here with these ooze enemies that come up later.
Depends on the encounter type.
Yes.
I have mega grenades, which they are weak to, so...
Oh, yeah, you do have megas.
And even without megas, we still have the jumbos in like any percent. You can still do the same thing of... It's a guaranteed way of getting to the fight of using bombs. So I tend to do more bombs than the claw. Only when it's a single ooze that won't go away will I use the claw. Because the accuracy is so bad.
And here is the first fight in our Please Let It Be a 2 series of Mystic Quest. This whole room of enemies that we fight can either be 2 worms or 3 worms. As we see, 2 worms can be killed in 1 arrow by Kaylee. 3 worms are either a runaway or a longer fight. It is actually faster to run from 2-3 formations, 2-3 stacks, and then kill a 2 on the 3rd fight than it is to kill a single 3 stack, which, even though they're 50-50s, Tybalt getting a little unlucky so far. The next room is a little worse because you can't just run. It's a 33% chance, give or take, to get a 2 worm. So that's the room we really have to worry about. But also, I guess we're worrying about this fight right now.
Much ado about nothing. 4th attempt, first time lucky, something like that. One thing you'll see here that Tybalt is doing with his menuing is he is quickly getting to cure on his main character. A lot of runners will not go for cure on the main character out of battle because it is right next to the exit spell. Now, this is something that anybody who has ever played the game has unfortunately done, or I will say played the game a lot, is whether it be in Doom Castle, whether it be in the tree, have used the exit spell instead of the cure spell, which you have to restart the entire dungeon again. That's particularly punishing in the tree and Doom Castle. Those 2 are the worst to have it happen in, but it is a thing that Tybalt, to gain, a couple of, I would say probably 30 seconds over the course of the run, risks losing an entire run effectively if it were a PP attempt.
I've never done that before, ever. PP
Yeah.
attempt.
So here's that room I was mentioning where there are 3 different formations instead of just 2. First fight was 2 worms, which is nice. Trying to get some new RNG here. We're just getting berated with these 2 worms and an ooze. The oozes are a problem because they reflect magic. So you can't just arrow all these things. We'll see that Dragon Claw. We're hoping for Petrify to proc here on this ooze, which will just be a one-shot. It'd be great.
Yeah, it would be. Nope.
And this is Mystic Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's two ways to one-shot an ooze with the Dragon Claw. One is with a crit, and the other is with a Petrify.
What does a miss do?
Well, a miss just reminds you of how wonderful Tristan is and how excellent this video game is.
I love seeing the run strats from Tybalt. A lot of runners opt to not do run strats in room 2, but if you do get lucky, it is significantly faster, and
if
we
you
are
get
not
unlucky,
getting lucky today.
It's significantly slower. But this room is basically pure RNG. And because of the way that your encounters are... nice miss again. Because of the way your encounters are calculated, it's basically done on a frame basis. So your frames, as you loop through a 256 frame window, 255 frame window, I forget the exact amount, it does it in batches of 34 frames. The 3-worm and 2-worm are actually the air quote common, and the double worm ooze is the air quote rare by a couple of frames in the loop. So to get the repeated double worm ooze is just frankly bad luck. There's no other way to put it, and the tree be like that sometimes.
He does get rewarded with a couple 2s in a row, which is nice. Saves, some time.
Yeah.
And we're right back to it.
No.
There we go. So that's why the run strat exists. Perfect execution. Guaranteed 100% of the time.
Oh, that's right. As mentioned there in chat from Transquina, in the Final Fantasy Relay race last year, this most recent one, me, Quina, and Almagus were all running any percent for the relay race. And they had exited out of Doom Castle in the relay.
It's not too bad if it happens on or at like the stone golem floor, but after that it gets real painful.
I think it was after a major boss, if I remember correctly, so it wasn't... You had to go halfway through the room again, making all the fights again.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Like in a PB attempt or, world record hunt or something, that's just end of the run, but in a marathon situation, it's not too bad. It's a couple minutes. We have my spirit animal coming up in a couple minutes, so Ghidra. That's my favorite boss in this game. I just love the fact that Ghidra is both the easiest and hardest boss at the same time. Because in theory, a perfect Ghidra fight takes about 55 seconds. And in practice, a Ghidra fight takes 5 minutes with 3 deaths.
Thankfully, Tybalt is running the Venus Shield route, also known as 100%, so we won't be getting paralyzed by Ghidra, so that'll be nice.
And then there's Stone.
Yes, we certainly will not see that.
Yeah, which Phoebe actually loses protection from because of the resistance glitching that we're using. Because generally
I believe in the Japanese runs of this, I believe they actually save and reload to reset the resistance glitch to, is it this point, Possum? I don't know if you know. But they do save and reset at some point to reset the resistance glitch to the current partner, which I don't know when they do it, but it is because of things like that where you would have a resistance, otherwise you don't with the normal resistance glitch.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain, but that's one of those, again, regional differences that there are, not just menu related, but tactic related. So it's, an interesting thing for sure to look into. I don't think it would work with this version. I don't think it would be viable because it would really only come into play for Ghidra and a couple of enemies in
The zoo
on
floor.
the zoo floor. Yeah. I don't think it has anywhere near the impacts. I know that the scripts are all changed for like the German version of the game and the Japanese version of the game. Like a lot of it's very different, but in this version, I don't think it would have much efficacy here.
Here we see the axe in the overworld cut down the mushrooms. Definitely cutting them down, not just pushing them into the ground or whatever we're seeing.
Yeah, and the axe kind of doubles as a hammer. It also later on is going to flip switches. The axe is surprisingly versatile, despite, I don't know,
Being an
not
axe.
doing anything special.
There we saw all those text boxes right there are the ooze resisting and not resisting statuses. So we finally see a proc from the Dragon Claw the way I've been talking about forever. So just a kind of an instant kill there on the ooze, which is cool to see.
And actually, it was a critical as well. Just to add another text box.
Yeah, just why not?
The fun part about that is if you crit an enemy like that, and then let's say you used a mega grenade the next fight or the next attack, taking one out with Petrify, the damage, the game would still calculate as if the petrified enemy was still on the battlefield despite it being gone. So anytime you have multiple enemies that are on the field and you need to focus on one of them after something's been removed, you can't realistically use AoE because it will not be treated particularly well on a single target. It's a very weird interaction that happens as a result of petrification not truly removing an enemy from the battlefield.
I had to keep it on auto there to have Kaylee heal me here because a single bomb.
So if we see the bomb did 590 there, it should have done like 1300 to a single ooze, but it's thinking that that second ooze that was already removed was on the battlefield. So thank you for showing that off, Tybalt.
Welcome. Didn't mean to, but you know what? It works.
Perfectly calculated.
I mean, in all things considered, I do want to save some bombs for Pazuzu's tower, but once I'm done with the tower, I don't want any more bombs in my inventory. The more I can kind of use usefully beforehand is always a nice treat. So that's why I tend to use bombs in here and in the tower coming up.
As I mentioned before, the megas being able to be thrown in the overworld. To prevent soft locking, though, the developers allowed you to still have the results of throwing a bomb, even when you have 0, which is kind of the basis of the Jin glitch I mentioned earlier, but also saves you entire frames when you're using them to like open a bombable door. So there's a couple uses of 0 bombs there, which saves so much time. It's just great.
Almost to the top.
Yeah, the tree. This is the... I'm still going to say longest segment of the game, because there's more variety in Lava Dome. The tree is basically like 4 enemies, and you fight 35 encounters at it. It's maybe not 35, it's probably more like 25, but it's a lot of fights, and it's the same enemies, and it's a lot of repeat motion. But this is also where, you know, kind of going back to what chat was pointing out, Silverfire had said that, you know, a lot of this is about how fast can you menu. The tree is a huge skill expression portion of the game. How quickly can you get your menuing done, and can you get in and out of the tree? Some of it is luck, what your encounters like, and Tybalt did not have good encounters here, but how well can you adapt to that and still menu properly to get through it?
If you are genuinely curious, there are 32 fights before Ghidra in tree. So it is just, like you said, 3 or 4 enemies over and over and over using the same attacks the whole time.
Doing it the intended way, like, you can still overflow your seeds and go through vanilla way with Ruben. The time amount you save is not huge in regards. It's just extremely safer to go back with Phoebe 2, because you can spend 10 charges of her white cast before you have to refresh it, versus having to do every 4 encounters with Ben.
I would like to point out just quickly that Tybalt lied earlier when he said we'd never seen fire, because we just saw it.
Yeah, a confused Ben decided to cast fire. Thanks, Ben!
So hey, it's 100% for a reason. You got to see every spell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean... See what we've seen.
Nice exit miss.
You have had more exit misses than I've ever seen in a single run. It's really incredible.
Thank you. I try my hardest.
But this is a fight. Oh, wow. This is a fight where, in theory, if everything goes perfectly, like I said, it's like a 55-second fight because Kaylee resists almost everything that that Gidra can do. This skeleton and Draves are currently having the most epic one-on-one, by the way, and Draves is losing horrendously.
I want to see Gidra go out before the skeleton does. That'd make my life, maybe.
Hey!
There we go. All right. The random skeleton has been defeated. All is right in this world.
That was the third hardest boss, actually.
But Gidra is weak to wind, and we have arrow on both characters. So, perfect world, it's just take out the skeletons in turn 1, and then just bombard Gidra with arrows until Gidra just goes away. That is not what happened in this fight.
Yeah, we're hoping for either the wind attacks on Kaylee, as you saw, did like 178 damage, or just like paralysis attempts on either character. Because we do have Venus Shield, it's just a super quick attack animation. And it's just 1,500, 1,700 damage until we're done.
Yeah, but there's Gidra. It's not a hard fight. But boy, does it become a hard fight for no good reason so often.
Mm-hmm.
Goon Kid. Love to see the text in the background there on the tree. It technically says go on, but you say Goon. And Tybalt is going to get the next spell that is going to be very helpful. Arrow going to lose almost all of its value after this. It's still going to be used a little bit, but the next spell he's about to get, which is in the red treasure chest, words are hard, folks. That is going to be the meteor spell, and that's going to be particularly nice for fights such as the Hydra later on, but more importantly, Gidra coming up sooner than later. Dullahan, excuse me. Dullahan resists fire, resists a lot of other magic, but Meteor does a number to him.
No, I can't see where I'm going. It's fine.
Thankfully, you have the power of reading, so you're able to know where to go.
Here, Tybalt's picking up the best accessory, the tier 3 accessory, which gives us confusion resistance on top of all the other ones we had from the other accessories. Kind of a big deal, as we saw from a couple fights in tree there. So you love to get that one.
Yeah, and hopefully that will be the last time that we see fire from Benjamin, since he won't be getting confused anymore.
Yeah, just real quick, I'm going to jump in here. My time as host has come to a close, at least for today. I'm going to be handing you off into very, very capable hands. Alice will be taking over for the rest of the run, so I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm Alistair Jasu. I'm here to host. I'm here if you need me.
Well, thank you, Fitz, and welcome, Alice.
I hope you're ready for some riveting Mystic Quest gameplay.
See to me, the water hag looks like he's trying to hug the cyclone for arrow. Even he's shocked when it actually hurts him.
I mean, I know whenever I try to hug a tornado in real life, I expect something totally different.
I've never seen that in my head until now. Thank you very much, Phil.
You're welcome.
You ruined it for me now.
You're never gonna unsee it ever.
No, I won't. Meteor, though, is, well, I guess Arrow technically, but Meteor is where we finally start to see Benjamin have some viability in terms of damage output. You see him being able to actually take out 2 endgame enemies by himself. So we'll get Meteor, we use that a lot here, then we'll get Flare, and then that's kind of be one of the only things we see from Benjamin for a lot of the rest of the game.
Yeah, and before we get to the Dullahan fight, this is actually a good time. Alice, if you have anything you would like to say, any introductions, any commentary, any readings of donations, anything you would like to throw in, now's a great time to do it.
Sure, yeah. And I've been enjoying this run. Big fan of Mystic Quest. So we have some cool incentives coming up for tomorrow. We have BS Legend of Zelda with Ice Blue. We have a bid war for that nobody has put in a bid on yet. So if you want your bid to be in the lead, then, donate like $1 or a few dollars to that, and boom, you got it. There's also an incentive open for Cassette Beasts, which is actually my run. So I would really like to see that incentive get met. We already met one incentive for my run, but there's another one for Cass, the main character of the game, to wear cat ears, which I know everybody wants to see that. So if you want to see that, donate to that.
You had me at cat ears.
Right?
All right. Well, thank you, Alice. And just in time, perfectly timed, I might add, for our next major boss. This is Dullahan. Dullahan is incredibly interesting insofar as it is the only major boss that we're going to likely try to inflict a status on. I don't know what Tybalt does for his particular fight here, but heal strats... basically, you can use heal on Dullahan, and it has a chance to inflict paralysis. So, no text box there is really good, because that means we probably inflicted, almost certainly got at least a one-turn paralysis there. It was just a one-turn, but it at least buys us some extra actions by paralyzing Dullahan. And at least got another one there.
You can always tell if he's paralysis if Ben gets his turn right away. Because otherwise he will outspeed Ben every single time.
Dullahan is otherwise a heavy, heavy damage boss. Hedumarang is about split 350. The rest of the attacks are 400 to 500. Kaylee thankfully has some resist to it, but Dullahan has a lot of damage that it loves to throw down. But ultimately, I think that was, 3 paralyze turns, which is great. That's just 3 extra turns you don't have to worry about healing. And probably 1 meteor away here, very close. And we saw in this fight, Tybalt did make use of the defend strategy. We haven't really talked much about defend, but it is so incredibly broken in this game. If anybody defends against the other character, what will happen is they will prevent them from taking damage, as well if there's an AoE move that is used, it simply straight up nullifies that damage from existing. So a lot of the time AoE moves would basically retarget in full power to one character. When using the defend ability, it doesn't do that. It treats it basically the same way as that petrification glitch we talked about with the bombs, where it just kind of ignores that there is another actor somewhere in the battlefield. So defend is very, very strong. And 10, you are probably wondering what is happening here. Tybalt has to go through and get this box here in order to actually complete the any percent run. Or excuse me, the 100% run.
Yep.
What do you think? I know everything about this. Is the thing he's gonna get.
Yes, this is the thing. And then after this one, there'll be another thing.
Yeah,
And after that,
the
there'll be
one
another
that
thing.
we're,
Yeah,
the one.
yeah. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. So you
Yeah,
got it.
like I was saying, the helm, the Apollo helm.
Yeah.
It does grant Benjamin some fire resistance and 2 extra defense over the second tier helmet. So fire defense before coming to the fire region, gonna be kind of a big deal.
And also lightning resistance. And I believe also wind, if I remember correctly. So you take reduced damage from Pazuzu's wind attacks, which is really nice. So like Zuzu actually becomes a lot easier in the hundo, but it's still a pain to track around. So here we go. Once we talk to Pazuzu, that's when he sets his floor, what he's going to be on. So it depends on the frame that you talk to him. Right now, there is no RTA way viable of knowing this information.
Yeah. And trust me, folks, most all of the things that we can think of to figure out a way to manipulate it have failed. Outside of, like, TAS.
Yep. So TAS does a few other encounters a little bit differently. And that's because our criticals from our weapons are also based on what frame the attack was done on. So he goes through the exit tile using the Knight Sword and getting a critical every time, as that's faster than doing it with the, what's it?
The bombs.
Yeah, the bombs.
Yeah, TLDR, computers are just better than we are at this sort of stuff. We have to accept our overlords.
We always run on the wind resistance from the Apollo.
Yeah, that's on Gaia armor.
Yeah.
Water and wind are both on Gaia. Just fire on Apollo helm.
We can finally talk about offensive life here. A cool strategy based on the game being completely broken. In the Japanese and German version, it is properly working where you can use life on an undead enemy so long as you are a higher level than it. In the NTSC release, for whatever reason, everything's got the undead flag, almost everything. So life can be used, as you see here, to one-shot almost everything in the game, including a boss or two. So this is the first time that it is, because it's woo, holy cow, a fast alternative to something like Arrow, which is also going to kill those enemies, but is a very long animation. So life being a shorter animation does save time, but because it is a white spell, does come with the added risk of being able to miss. So it's a runner's choice, basically, what you want to do. A lot of runners have adopted the life strats in Pazuzu's tower, which we'll see with Tybalt's luck today how many misses we get with life.
0, because Kaylee's going to miss all the axe hits first.
That's never happened before.
I'm pretty sure Mystic Quest's motto. So that's never happened before, because it never has until you've done it 1,000 times, and it still surprises you every day. That's never happened before.
No, that hasn't. This is not. No, this is locked up.
Huh.
I think my cartridge got moved. I can't do anything. Oh no. The run just died. Because you never save it in the run. Yeah, no. Something happened with my cartridge here. Well, this sucks. I don't know what happened. I run an actual hardware here, so I don't know if something got jostled around or... This is not good. I cannot continue because there's no other save location that I have. I can beat Dark King and that's about it. In an any percent category style. No, SNES, I use a Super NT. Is what I use. It did not overheat. I think the actual cartridge got jostled. The connection may have gotten loose. I think I have to take the cartridge out and plug it back in. Yep. Okay. Admin on duty. How do we want to run this? I can still defeat Dark King with an any percent character. It'll just be a different name, and I can probably show off at least the volcano location.
Yeah, give us just a moment. We're gonna get word on what the plan is here, so just hang with us for a moment.
Tybalt, is that file at the bottom, the one you're talking about with your grandpa's save file?
Yep, this is my grandfather's save file.
With no heal? That's wonderful.
Yep. Yeah. Because, like, I have a save file that's at Dark King, so I technically can...
And with it being any percent, you would have skipped all of Lava Dome and Mine and all that. So,
yeah.
in theory,
Yeah.
what would be missing is the actual end of Pazuzu's tower, but everything else would be in play.
Yeah. Technically
So,
speaking. I just don't have before Pazuzu's tower.
right. I guess you wouldn't have the refights in Doom Castle either.
True.
Is this before or after the refights? I don't know. I don't have the refights. I don't think.
No, because if you were at Dark King...
This
Well,
I
he
don't know
was
if I
on
was
this
at...
file.
No, I don't think I was at Dark King on this file. I can double check here.
No, you were in the
gotcha.
world.
I don't
You
know if
might
I don't know if I exited out or not previously though.
Man, even you can't have luck anyway you're going. Holy cow!
No, I can't.
That is wonderful.
I mean, that counts as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I
we'll
agree.
count it. That
Especially
is
since
wild.
that was incredibly unique. I'm not sure I've ever seen that again. That's never happened before. We'll just chalk that one up to a failed Pazuzu manip, I think. That seems fair.
Do it here. Yeah, no.
Dang.
Refights are gone.
And we still got 2 whole dungeons we could do.
Yeah. We'll make the Dark King fight very, very interesting, because I think it would probably be a higher level at that point.
Yeah, going through Lava Dome, there's 10 encounters and 12, 14 encounters at 1200 XP apiece. Depends where your XP is right now on level 24. Like, you might not be able to just wipe with Phoebe every time, or you'd end up at oh no, you're 22k needed. Yeah, you'd be fine. You're gonna land on 25 still if you go through that.
In my head, I've just been thinking, just use exit, but this isn't the randomizer.
You got to go back to...
That would not work.
No, all the refights are done on this save file. So, Pazuzu was a super jerk. I'm just going to consider that he was on floor 6 at this point.
We're up to 75, baby.
But I can go from here and pick up, you know, essentially be like it was I defeated, you know, Pazuzu. Admin? Bueller.
Give him a second. We still have plenty of Mystic Quest stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
Might as well start walking over there.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, you
I
load
mean,
the other
he has the
space file.
Mobius crest. You can just warp
Oh.
over there.
You know, yeah, that's
So
true.
I glitched in the Mobius crest in this one. Well, I want me to just go actually pick up the Mobius crest, you know? Well, let's do it this the proper way. But you're supposed to do this, right?
An unglitched Dark King fight on the high level file. That's always fun.
You can still technically do it. You can still do mostly a glitch Dark King fight. It's a second phase that'll take longer. Oh no.
It was your bombs. Nice.
Yep.
We saw that door just disappear. I don't know how that happened.
It ran away under the threat of bombing. Which I would too.
Oh, we glitched the Libra crest too because it gets deleted. Okay.
Oh, that's wonderful.
There we go. Mobius crest. Got it.
Why can Mystic Quest never be a real speed run in a marathon? Like every time it's run, it's something like this. It's amazing. I love it. This wasn't even your fault, which is the best part.
Yeah.
All right, so Mystic Quest, favorite song in the game. Tybalt, start with you.
Dark King.
Good choice.
End game credits where you leave the game when you're streaming, and you let it play in Fireberg.
Also a good
That's
choice.
the stand. Or the stage.
I was worried you were going to go to the exact same place I was going, which was endgame music when it fades out to seagulls.
That's number 2. We do have a little Phoebe display here, though, kind of showcasing why she is Phoebe. She gets the white spell when you have Phoebe 2, and it's just a guaranteed one-shot on a whole set of enemies almost every time. Again, she has the highest magic stat out of all the partners, all the characters, and then white being like an elemental neutral. Nothing really. I don't think there's anything that resists white. Possum, correct me if I'm wrong.
There is not.
But yeah, it's just a Phoebe go burst situation.
Yeah, Phoebe does more with the white spell than Benjamin does with the flare spell. The white spell is roughly 60% as strong. So the fact that Phoebe does more with it speaks volumes to just how ridiculous her magic stat is. And that is why she is Phoebe. I believe her magic set is 99, whereas your main character's is like in the 40s.
So essentially what we missed with the game froze, I missed the Heckway, I missed picking up Flare, and I missed picking up the Excalibur, which is the best sword in the game, in Pazuzu's tower.
And all the fun of discovering where he was.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm going to say he was on floor 6.
But it's okay, because now you get the Thunder spell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so after we beat Pazuzu's tower, we get, we go back to town. Ruben joins our party. We go to the ship. We go launch the ship down to the water. We go on the ship, save Captain Mac. We get the Gaia armor. As we're leaving, this is where we go to Fireburg to go complete out this area for the 100%. So we're gonna be grabbing a couple items from here, as well as Lava Dome and Volcano.
And not that it's entirely relevant to Mystic Quest, but we do have Tybalt's favorite weapon in the game in the mine.
Yep. This is the first item I'm going to pick up here. I'm going to exit out, and then I'm going to come back in again so I can actually make it over to Lava Dome and Volcano.
Charm Claw Hype.
Yep.
If anybody's curious about a little bit more about Pazuzu's tower, at least in any percent, a floor 6, aka good RNG, versus a floor 2, aka worst RNG, is a difference between like 20 or so fights and 51 fights. And then I know on 100%, I think floor 1 is technically fastest. Tybalt, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, floor 6 and 5 are still good for us because
Okay.
we walk down to the Excalibur. And if we walk back up to go to floor 6, it's fine. Most of the same. We just are walking back up.
Okay.
Yeah, floor 2 is still real bad.
Yeah, floor 2 is still the worst. Oh no, I lost my Dragon Claw. I can't do anything again. No. Whatever shall I do?
Press the L2 button.
L2 button, that don't do anything.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
They made
Yeah.
those for the Super Nintendo?
No, that's
Those
the point.
L2s?
Yeah. No, if you swap off your weapon, swap back to it, it'll always go up to the highest grade weapon that you have. But now we come to what we call elevator storage here. I'm going to take this elevator animation, and I'm going to store it in that 0 value for the bomb. And I'm going to use it here. And I'm going to use it one other time. Because who wants to fight a mini-boss? I don't. That guy right there, Jin, who's real mean. We don't like him.
So you would normally in 100% be running or coming to this area with Phoebe, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so
But
the
still
cool thing about
faster.
Jin Skip, yeah, is that you're super strong right now. You've got Phoebe with White, you've got Flare, you've got Meteor. Jin would be a theoretical walk in the park, but it's still faster to route in not collecting enough bombs, so you end up with 0 here. You just get to do those 3 total animations, and then you don't have to worry about Jin ever again. Super fun, little bit of tech. You just exit out. You could just walk out with a weird phase through Jin skip, but exit out makes it real quick. And now we get to head over to Lava Dome. And by that I mean Volcano, because I know everything about this game.
I get the order mixed up all the time myself, so...
Volcano should be the volcano, man.
Right? I'm in agreement with you on this one.
And we get a rerun of the ice pyramid trope of invisible enemies after this floor. Where is Mask in Vanilla? That's a great question for you guys.
So you know where Medusa is lying in the rando? That's actually where the chest is.
So
Yeah,
Medusa's not even there?
No,
Nope.
she's at the summit.
She's at
What
the summit.
is this game?
Yeah. So what they did in the rando, they just moved the bosses for the locations, either the chest to the boss or the boss to the chest. So like for Dullahan, they moved the chest to his sprite spot in the rando, and then for Medusa, they moved her to where the chest is. But because
I never would've known.
of how the any percent routing goes, the gas mask has been glitched into the inventory.
Oh, cool.
But I'm still gonna go pick it up.
Yeah. The mask playing the same role as the mirror in the pyramid. Collecting that allows you to see all the invisible enemies. But Tybalt said he's already got it, so that's super cool. Look at that. The best part is you can choose the correct path to fight Medusa and never know that the mask existed in theory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could also choose to ignore the entire right side of Ice Pyramid and never find the mirror.
Very true, yeah.
There is an interesting mechanic in play with Medusa that you basically don't have to worry about, but it's relevant in a vanilla playthrough, not necessarily a speedrun. That Medusa is set on what it will do to open the battle. If you do not specifically alter who Medusa is going to target, Medusa will always open up with their first move on your companion, and it's 100% guaranteed. So if Tybalt were to go into that fight and defend Phoebe with the main character, it will change what Medusa does. It's effectively altering the battle script. And it's one of very few enemies in this game that actually alters what it does based on your character's decision beforehand. It doesn't really have any implications on the speed runs because in any percent you don't fight her, and by the time you get back here in Hundo, it doesn't matter. But it is a very interesting thing that does exist in this game.
Oh, I fell into the trap. So there's a little T-junction there, and there's actually an extra down space that you can follow yourself into if you go too far down. Which I fell into that one.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to have to fight 3 encounters for a cure potion. Now you have to fight 3 for an empty hole in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But at least these, you can kind of bypass some enemies.
Yeah, because they spread around because they don't expect you to get the masks to know where they are. So they kind of spread them around there a little bit. So it's like, where could this enemy be? But you play this enough times, you know where every enemy is located regardless.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's 25.
Yeah, I forgot about XP from Mine and Volcano.
It's fine.
Oh, look, there she is. How about that?
Yep.
So now we get to see many people's first choice of favorite sprite deterioration here with Medusa. There may or may not be an emote related to that. I'm not sure this channel has it on or not, but it is a wonderful one.
And so we saw first turn there. Phoebe got confused by Medusa. Had we defended, Benjamin would not have been confused since he has a Cupid locket by this point, and would have been able to prevent that. It won't matter though. This white, this flare, fight will be over. And that is why it kind of doesn't really matter, is because Medusa just melts and then goes bald and all of those things.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be this strong at this stage of the game. End game filer or not, you're not supposed to have Flare, you're not supposed to have Phoebe, who, you know, as we've mentioned a dozen times, is the GOAT. So it's gonna be nice seeing you blow through all this part of the game here.
Yeah, so this is where it comes to be. You really have to be able to count to 10, because you want to have like a certain amount of charge. You have 10 charges of Wizard on Phoebe. When it comes to a counter like this, you use Flare with Ben, and you use a Seed with Phoebe, because Ben can take it out, and then the next 10 encounters, you can sit there and just let Phoebe go to town. You want to be not going into your menu as much as possible. This is where it really comes to the play of how fast can you menu? Can you optimize not being in the big menu of giving yourself a seed outside of battle? You gotta keep track of both person's seed count or wizard charge count, which gets really tricky.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, outside of just the menuing speed, animation speed, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but over time it does matter. You're talking like 10 plus fights, white being the fastest animation, not in the game, but like the fastest real damage we can do. So being able to optimize and only use white when possible, it definitely adds up. Even just over 10 fights, we're talking about half a second per spell.
Yeah, the white spell has, I want to say it's like 2.9 second cast time. Meteor's like 3.7. It's a pretty big difference as far as the amount of time. Flare is a little bit more, I want to say. It's like maybe a tenth of a second more than white. It might be identical, but...
white is 118 frames. Meteor is 202. Just for example, Meteor is crazy long. Flare is actually 115.
So I finally picked up the life spell on Ben. So we've gone, we would have gone through 3 major locations without life on Ben.
And not to be outdone, though, Benjamin randomly outspeeding Phoebe. Always love that.
Oh, yeah. And when you want him to outspeed, he doesn't.
But this is where, in vanilla, you would get the Moon Helm. And since we already have the Apollo Helm... Well, actually, you don't on this file, do you?
No, I don't have the Apollo Helm. So yeah, that's going to help a lot, actually.
So the Moon Helm makes this quite a bit easier, because the Moon Helm and the Apollo Helm both give fire resist, and that's about it. So the difference between the Moon Helm and Apollo Helm is incredibly minimal. It's the least difference of any second tier to third tier armor or weapon, I would say, since it's basically like +2 defense and that's it.
+6 defense, actually, Possum.
Oh, okay.
6 whole defense, which in the terms of Mystic Quest, we don't know what that actually means.
It means in theory you'll take less damage.
Ah, yes, in theory.
Always theory.
Also, shoutouts to Tybalt for punching with the bombs.
The game really thought of everything here.
If you're out of bombs, you just end up punching the enemy.
There's so many enemies in this game. Holy cow.
Yep. Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said the motto of this game was 3 battles for 3 cure potions.
What is... Oh yeah, Moonhelm said that.
Then we gotta leave. We gotta go press a switch to actually open up a door. I'd probably say one of the longer dungeons is actually Lava Dome, especially if you don't know, you're coming into it blind. It is really, really long, and you can get lost.
What is this wall of enemies?
Yeah.
Well, they're guaranteeing you have to fight.
I
one
know
enemy.
there's just so many of them.
At least you get to pick the poison on which ones you want to
That's
fight
true.
there.
So true.
Whoops.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Lava Dome compared to the tree, we kind of mentioned that earlier. The tree was one of the 2 longest dungeons, very similar to Lava Dome, is that with the tree, you have kind of a finite number of places you can go. It's a pretty linear path in the end. It might be a little confusing, and you might have to do it like 2 times. With Lava Dome, because of all the weird rooms and offshoot places, and the fact that like you have to take this very specific route to hit the switch to flip the boss door, and then walk through the entire dungeon of like 15 more encounters just to realize if you miss that switch you can't fight the boss. It gets very, very confusing in a vanilla playthrough if you aren't familiar with the game. So
Yeah,
Lava Dome
yeah.
has the potential to be the longest without question. And 10, I believe you did a vanilla playthrough fairly recently, and this dungeon was like a
Not fun?
thing. A thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that not only are all those things true, this is the one dungeon in the game that has a scrolling. I'm not gonna say overworld, but this main world that you're in right now does scroll left to right. So if you keep going left, you're gonna find yourself back at the same exact spot eventually, which is again the only place in the whole game this happens, to my knowledge. So that can easily catch somebody up as well. Not that I've ever. No, I not me though. Not me.
No, I mean, if y'all listening to like a very casual vanilla playthrough, you don't know about the seed glitching, so you're coming here, you get to the door, and all of a sudden, oh, where do I have to go to open up this switch? And you're running out of resources, so you have to leave, then you come back in to go another round. I know I had to do that myself, playing this vanilla for the first time. I had to leave and come back so many times because I was running out of seeds, because you don't get much gold in this game. Like, it is very tight for finances in this, with how much money you actually have to spend.
Yeah, until you get pretty late into the game, when the enemies are giving you, 30, 40 gold, you are pretty cash strapped, because you're going to want to be buying the things that the vendors are selling, because they are actual upgrades. But you also are going to be doing a lot of instays, which are 95 gold a piece. Seeds are 50 a piece. You're spending a pretty penny to actually make headway.
There's 26. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, what happens is you just, clear all this out and then reset to pre-Dark King and fight Dark King.
Fight Dark King, yeah.
Because we don't need to deal with...
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, you could do a vanilla fight. Like, you have life at this point, you have flair, so...
Yeah.
You'd be fine. Until Tier 4, when it decides to Silver Web Phoebe, who wipes your party. But that's never happened to you before.
I've done it at the higher levels. It's still the same. You just have to realize what damage value hits Dark King with Ben's Cure. Depends on what strategy you have to go with. It's 18,000, 23,000, and 24,000 are the damage values that are out there.
Yeah.
And depending on which one it is, depends on which strategy you use. Yeah. Very long dungeon. And there's even a maze in it, too.
Like so many of the other mazes in the game, though, it's all just a diversion.
Mm-hmm.
One of those games where very rarely does going off the beaten path gain you anything relevant. This might be one of the few dungeons where it does, because you get exactly life and the moon helm, and both of them are very, very big. Life because, well, it's really good, and moon helm because of fire resist here. So this is one of the few places where wandering actually gets you value. The vast majority of this game, if you wander, you get 3 cure potions, 3 heal potions, 3 refreshers, and it's so not worth it.
Smiley face.
Smile. I'm glad we got a smiley face. I mean, we would have gotten smiley faces anyway.
Yeah.
In the refight floor, because you use them on was it the Thanatos, I believe.
No.
Oh, you might use thunder on those instead of the
Use
smiley
thunder,
face.
Use thunder on Thanatos.
Boo.
I think that does mean we've seen every spell though, so 100% guarantee. Yeah, all done. Time.
Sure. I mean, actually, we don't have the Aegis Shield yet. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen the Gaia armor.
No, the guy armor's on max ship.
And Aegis Shield's in Doom Castle.
Yep. Which I will pick up if I'm gonna have to fight Dark King, because that's just gonna be nice to have. The fight does not go according to any plan. Oh look, I go up some stairs, gotta do a fight. Jump across the pole, gotta do a fight. Like, you have to work after you do something.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it, though, is the developers took a very particular approach to air quote random encounters in this, where they basically said, we don't want you to have to grind, so you're going to do your grind as you go throughout the game. That is why you have so many what we would call on-path encounters, like these birds being in a basically a blocker where you cannot get through to where you want to go unless you fight them. Those on-path encounters are basically your grind. So you are just doing the game as intended and getting your levels all throughout it, which is a pretty good design. In a sense, it saves you from having to figure out how to grind in a game that's just not built for it. And it's kind of unique in that way as well for a speed run, is that there's very few speed runs that don't take a grind of some sort, either to boost stats or boost HP or boost skills. Like in this particular speed run, in any percent, you really cut it thin. In Hundo, you're still collecting stuff, but you're never actively grinding. Unless it's like a tile, a 10 stack tile that requires you to take the fight.
Yeah, if anything, especially in any percent, we're going out of our way to make sure we don't get levels, just because of the way the thresholds work in Dark King, which is cool.
The other thing about using exit multiple times is exit does allow you to go through and save an extra text box as well. Because you're not getting XP, you don't get the XP gained in the battle at the end of each fight. So if you're exiting multiple enemies, you won't even see that XP gained box. Very minimal, but it's a thing.
Oh, but you do end up using Blizzard in the refight of Hydra. Use it on the Jin and Hydra. But here's Hydra. Wonderful boss.
A lot less wonderful when you fight it when you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Really need
Because
that moon
fire
now,
breath.
because and I got first strike, which is really nice. But I don't have the Venus shield. This is gonna get
Couple
interesting.
fire breaths. Aw. So fire breath is interesting because it would do well. That's interesting. Sniper
Okay.
guild out in force here. All right. Nice. Add one more to the counter. Thank you, Hydra.
Well, that's a new way.
That's 4.
There's fire breath.
The awkward part about fire breath. Phoebe takes 665 damage. She has 1320 health. So she would actually die to 2 of them. So Tybalt has to cure there.
No, she has 1440. She can survive 2.
Oh, does she? I thought she had like 1320.
No, you have 1440.
Yeah.
Oh.
Count your boxes there, Possum.
I told you, this is why I run with numbers, man.
No, if Phoebe were to take a fire breath here, she would go away. Because she, a fire breath takes the entire bottom row of her health, and a little bit.
Get another perfect example of how I could just never run on the boxes.
Yeah, my brain don't work like that either.
This is also the one dungeon to where they actually give you a way to leave at the very end. And you don't have to walk through the entire dungeon.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if we didn't already have exit.
Oh, Ruben, what are you doing here?
Wait, there's a cutscene there?
Yeah.
Sure is.
Cool.
That's how you get access back to Aquaria.
You come here, grab this. And I would go exit, but, you know, gotta show the little way that you can leave here if you never do pick up exit from the battle tile. And then we end up going back over to Windia through the warp tile down here at the house. And then basically the last item that we do end up picking up in Hondo is going to be the Aegis shield.
I can't remember. Did you talk to Ruben's dad?
Already have it. I haven't talked to him. I don't know if he might give me the Thunder Rock again. I'm not sure.
I suppose I could break it, couldn't it?
No.
Well, he's already used
no,
it, so
I've already used the Thunder Rock. Yeah, it should be fine.
let's figure it out.
We'll do it in production. It's fine.
Spoken like a programmer.
No, I just don't want to talk to Ruben here. You talk to Ruben, he joins your party, and then... Okay.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, Ruben's still there. Don't talk to him, because he'll join your party. And then you lose Phoebe. And then things become real bad. Because that's a 1000 HP Ruben. I'm not going to Dark King with 1000 HP Ruben. That is a bad idea. That would be interesting, though, for another category. Ruben %. Defeat Dark King with Ruben.
I mean, effectively, it doesn't change anything. It just means that you're more likely to have the actual opener go sideways. But it doesn't change any of the cure. Well, no, it does, because then Phoebe isn't curing.
And the
Does Ruben have
Requires-
cure?
and the what?
Does Ruben have cure?
No,
No.
he has white. So you would use 100%.
I guess for 100%, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But after we beat Pazuzu and get the Mobius crest, we come all the way, go through the ship here, we pick up the guy armor here, and we talk to good old Captain Mac here. Leave. Go back into town. We exit out of here again. We go talk to Phoebe, who's sitting right here. She joins our party. We talk to the inn here to go up top. Ruben's in here sleeping. And we talk to, Captain Mac, talking about, here's how you control the ship.
And then this is Doom Castle, where Tybalt is going now. And he will be able to pick up the Aegis Shield. The Aegis Shield is a wonderful piece of equipment because it gives the ability to resist stone. It would have been much more wonderful at any other point before this in the game, but they decided, how about we wait? There is not enough of a reason to pick up the Aegis Shield in the any percent run, although there are times where you sure wish you had it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
it's one of those
weird.
items that are like a beginner's run. You want to pick it up just because it does give you a little extra safety while you're still learning. But yeah, you lose about 30-ish seconds having to do this rewalk and a redrop down after getting the shield in any percent. So it is definitely not worth it once you know what you're doing. But in this fun circumstance, since we don't have Venus Shield, this will also give us the paralysis resistance from that Venus Shield.
Alright, and so that gives us fire resist, wind resist, water resist, thunder resist, sleep resist, silence resist, paralysis resist, petrification resist, confusion resist. Basically, all of the bad stuff that we talked about earlier. Your main character doesn't really have to worry about.
Here's where we refight Skullus Rex, or Flamus Rex, who turns into Skullus Rex. We use the, either depending on what level we're at, we will either use life on him or exit to remove him from battle. We open up the sky door here with the coin we got from Pazuzu's tower. Nice little puzzle room in here for going around the different locations and hitting switches to unlock Ice Golem refight.
Yeah, the golem being a nice little boss you can use exit on. So two, not free, but free bosses to start off the boss rush.
We refight of the dual-headed Hydra here. You jump around to the different locations and refight a dual-headed Hydra. It's dual-headed Wyvern, I think.
Twin-head wyvern. Not to be
Dual
confused with
means
dual-head
twin.
hydra.
They are so vastly different.
Then we have this way up here where you end up refighting Pazuzu, good old Za, right over there.
Oftentimes easier than Pazuzu.
Mhm.
Also, sometimes way, way worse. Just kind
Yeah.
of depends how the RNG goes.
Yeah.
And by no personal knowledge do I know this, but you certainly can fall off some of those ledges there.
Yeah, we actually use that in the run in 80% and in Hundo. We fall off
Yeah.
the far right side. Right.
I think you got to go all the way around to do it.
Yeah, we fall over on the tiles above north here, and that's because that puts us right here.
Oh, how about that?
And so we do that to skip having to walk all the way around in a circle. To do that, it makes it a little bit faster. All right, let's see. It's
We talk to the statue. Some stuff happens. We get healed.
Yep.
But hey, it's Dark King.
And all of these chests here are just consumable items of cure potions, heal potions.
You know, normal end game rewards.
Then we
Yeah,
have
if you're
Dark
using
King here.
cure potions in the Dark King fight, oh boy.
Yeah, talk about RPGs in history worst healing item in existence. Like, holy cow.
Tybalt, take us through here. What's happening?
All right, 18,000 is that'll work. Okay. There it is. So we're going to be curing Dark King here to underflow his health to skip a bunch of phases here. So it's the same strategy we use in 90%, just a little bit different. We gotta use Phoebe to heal him up a little bit so we can go over the next refill section. Yeah. Okay. Nope, it went loading correctly there, but that's fine. So now we're actually gonna have to do the full phase 3 and 4 here with Spider Dude.
Which is fine, other than the gold and silver webs. Like
The
that
what?
one.
Thankfully, the life spell is overpowered and not only can revive a downed partner, but can heal them to full health and remove any status conditions. So life just kind of a all-in-one, if you will.
Oh my.
But you know what can happen, though? Ooh, she broke out. The Phoebe confusion would be cool.
Yeah, the spider phase of this to me is always the spooky part because of what can land on Phoebe, and this is not ideal.
Nope. That's white right there. Okay.
5. This is why you don't want to fight fair with Dark King.
Yeah.
Tybalt's overpowered. It didn't matter.
Hey, remember earlier in this run when Possum said something about the cure strats messing up and then golden webs and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
I remember that too.
Me?
Okay.
21,536 is a much better number, though.
Yes. Because Dark King has what, 40,000? No, it should be flare, white, and that should be yeah.
I'm just gonna point out the fact that you guys could do this on the fly is impressive, even to me, like to somebody who's played this game 1,000 times. Holy cow! I could literally never in my life.
No.
I could do that probably though.
Excuse me?
You should have one more round.
Yeah.
Well, if Benjamin lives. Nope.
If Phoebe lives. No!
Oh, number
Okay.
6, maybe.
That's funny right there.
That is funny.
For all those who have joined us in the last hour and a half, Tybalt did make a commitment to donate $5 for every wipe, and then also 60 total for the Pazuzu being on floor 6 in our minds. So every wipe here is actually a good thing, if you think about it that way.
Ben? Excuse me? Excuse me,
Yeah,
Ben?
Benjamin outspeeding Phoebe there, not ideal.
No.
That's
Yeah, that the +5 speed bonus from the Night Sword, kind of a detriment in this fight.
It's fine. Because,
It'll be fine.
yeah, Phoebe doesn't actually heal. It's fine. It's fine. I got this. I got this. I still got this. Okay. So yeah, it's this. That's fine.
Also, for anybody else curious, this is kind of just normal Mystic Quest speedrunning anyway, so this isn't even that crazy, like, unusual.
No, it's not.
yeah, this is just a clown fiesta, which is
Yeah.
Mystic Quest.
Yeah, we've seen many runs die to Dark King, or at least be prolonged a lot longer than they should have been.
Did Phoebe just auto white?
Yes.
I was just thinking that.
That was a crit.
That was a crit.
That was a crit.
What is this
Oh my.
Dark King on? Excuse me, Dark King?
That's 7.
Staring at 8.
Go.
And this is why we call this Poor Life Choices instead of Mystic Quest.
That should be.
Yeah, we really are just listening to music. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
GG.
No.
No. Oh, okay, I miscounted. Thought that should have been it.
GG's the other way.
No.
Hey,
no.
we saw fire again.
Yeah, we did. I think this should be the last flare if I'm thinking correctly here.
Thought it should have been one prior, but maybe my count was off because of all the crits. No, well, who knows?
Excuse me? Dark King? Excuse me?
Better be this one. I'm loving this.
Nice thing
Aw.
about Mega White there is that retains split damage no matter what. So it's never going to do more than 600. That was a crit Mega Flare as well. Impressive.
There we go.
Hey,
That's
GG for real.
Yeah. I just wanted to hear the Dark King fight. It's actually really good music. I love it. But now that old man that we never actually talked to, ever, we found out he's actually a crystal.
Draves has saved the world at last.
Yep.
Well
And
done,
now-
Draves. So what was our count? 7?
7 and the floor 6, yes.
Okay.
All right. That's 95. I'm thinking.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Not only to Tybalt, but to anybody else who has donated throughout this whole marathon that's been going on. And also GG's Tybalt.
Thank you. Thank you to the RBG Vlog for allowing me to run Mystic Quest here. I don't know what happened with the glitch in there, whether the ROM got jostled, shaky desk or something like that. Yeah, it was definitely a fun run. We'll get to the credits here, and we'll let. Did you guys say anything that you want, both Ken and Possum? Because were wonderful on comms today.
Yeah, just thanks as always for having me. Do comms for your runs. I always enjoy it. It's always a blast. There's always something new and different. And yeah, keeps it exciting. So appreciate it, bud, and great job. And thank you to Devalks for working with Take This and doing all that they do. So appreciate everyone involved.
Oh, hey.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the Mystic Quest curse on marathons. Thank you, Tybalt, for the entertaining run, even if it wasn't all a full run. It was still tons of fun. Yeah, it was great.
It's your
Yeah.
music with the seagulls in the background. Well, throw it you Rajasu, and you have anything you want to say or see where we're going to be going tonight?
Yeah, sure. GG, and thanks for that, completely normal 100% run there. But really, great job kind of making the best of that situation and pulling things together there. So we are going to be signing off for the night here. We're going to be raiding over in just a minute. But we are going to be back tomorrow and on Saturday. Tomorrow we got a great lineup. We got RPGs, we got Zeldas, we have Tiny Toon Adventures 2 Montana Movies Madness. We have Gartic Phone, we have Blaster Master. We got everything you could ever want from a speedrunning marathon tomorrow. So definitely come back tomorrow, help us do a little more to support Take This. We've already raised a bunch of money for them, and we appreciate that. Let me just take a quick look here. We did get a last minute donation here, so we got $35 from Possum Morpheus. Good job, Tybalt. Draves, you saved the world. Thanks, Valks. Also, Cat Ears. And thanks so much for putting that toward the Cat Ears. I certainly appreciate that. But yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. We are going to be once again raiding over to Alice at Wonderland Games. So it's a mutual aid fundraising marathon. So, be sure to show them some love over there. And yeah, that's going to be all for tonight. Thank you so much for spending your time with us and helping us raise some money and have some fun.